Hello everyone, Loremaster Sotek here, and the first embargo day has arrived! So, obviously a lot of people are going to be playing Total War Warhammer 3 to show off all the new goodies, but I personally tend to find that the free LC goodies are often the most exciting because these are the things we all get to enjoy, regardless if you're purchasing the DLC or not. So, as is custom, I have figured out, to my knowledge, all of the new unique landmark buildings that have been added to Immortal Empires for the Shadows of Change DLC / free LC update. So I wanted to go ahead and show all those off to you guys. Now, I will note there are a couple of additional landmark buildings that I cannot show because they technically fall under embargo rules. So there will be, I think, just two that I won't be able to show until later, but I can go ahead and show the rest of them off. So without further ado, let's start over here in the Badlands. So using my handy dandy thing to turn off the fog of war here, we have Death Gorge. The Pillar of Bone is finally a landmark building. So the Pillar of Bone is a mighty arcane fulcrum, one which your mages are ready to harness to its full extent. This lovely son of a gun gives you 200 gold per turn, +2 to hero recruitment rate faction-wide, and a +5% bonus to your research rate. In addition, if there's an enemy lord in the province for Death Gorge, so anywhere under the barrier idols, then it will affect a essentially magic buffs for you and debuffs to your enemy. So for every turn your enemy is in the region, or in the province, they lose 10 winds of magic per turn, and while they're there, you gain 10 winds of magic per turn as you are dominating the winds and, you know, sucking it away from them. Currently, this is only available to the greenskin factions, which is a little weird, but I believe the reason for that is I'm hoping either in the next patch or maybe in an update before this patch goes live, they'll be able to make that available to all factions, because the way it's worded and the fact that it doesn't provide any greenskin specific buffs makes me think that it's supposed to be available for everybody, because literally every single race in the game would benefit from that, and it's an arcane fulcrum which anybody's able to use. So hopefully that'll be expanded to everyone. I think it's actually a slight error that it's only available to the greenskins, but that's the situation with that at the moment. However, we're not done with the greenskins, as a building that I have been heavily requesting and wishing for has finally arrived, which is the Black Pit. The Black Pit now has a big old spicy tier 4 building, which is the Valley of Many Eyes. Deep within the Black Pit, in a valley where sunlight never shines, is the breeding ground of the fearsome, deadly Arachnarok spiders. This gives you 200 gold per turn, minus 25% recruitment cost for all Arachnarok spiders faction-wide, and plus 100% additional experience for all spider units faction-wide. This includes your Arachnarok spiders, your giant spiders, and your spider hatchlings that you can get from Mount Arachnos. And it also provides an Arachnarok spider to the garrison of the Black Pit, which is pretty freaking cool. So that does it for the greenskins. Let's carry on. Moving on to more humid climates. Down in Lustria, if you're playing in Immortal Empires, you can find the Astromantic Relays of Yuan Bo. Now, these are unique to his campaign, only he can build them, and they all do the exact same thing, which is that they give you +2 capacity for Astromancers, +1 winds of magic power reserve to all your armies, and 10% spell resistance to all your armies. And they do stack, which is quite nice if you want to be just hilariously resistant to magic. However, there are some other cool things going on with Grand Cathay, which is that if we turn our attention over to his empire here, in the starting settlement, Shengwu, you will find the Palace of Scrolls, which states, at the heart of his palace sits the true base of Yuan Bo's power, where bureaucratic control is maintained using countless scrolls of endless tallies and projections. This gives you plus 25% allegiance points gained for all alliances, plus 20 diplomacy with Grand Cathay factions, +2 Lord recruit ranks, faction-wide, and 10% additional income from all buildings in the Celestial Riverlands province. While we're over here, it's also worth noting that there are a couple of other new buildings to take a look at. I believe the Standing Stones have always been here, but it's called Shiama's Rest. Just in case, just because it's been so long, I'm going to go ahead and include this one, which says, stones that represent the powers that might be from which great strength can be drawn, which gives you +20 growth in this area, plus 10% research rates, and +4 melee attack when fighting against Warriors of Chaos, Chaos Dwarves, Demons of Chaos, Undead, and Greenskins. Fascinating. But what we were actually going to look at is there's a brand new Uber port, which is in Fushao. So in Fushao, you can find the Great Dragon Fleet Docks. That says, sitting at the mouth of the Jade River, the docks welcome all to the thriving city of Fushao. This gives 200 income per turn, plus 10% additional income from trade tariffs, plus 5% additional tradable resources produced, and plus 20 growth. And this is like the Marienburg one, where any faction that can build ports can build this special port. It replaces your normal port. And I do believe it levels up to a tier 5 version. I'll see if I can get some footage of that before I put this video out. But the last thing that I do want to take a look at, which may already be in the game, but there's a reason I'll be pointing this out, is in Weijin, you have the Celestial Court, which states, high above the capital is the Celestial Court, the residence of the Dragon Emperor and Moon Empress. To behold it is to witness the true majesty of the ancients, which gives +2 control faction-wide, plus 30 diplomacy with Grand Cathay, plus 10 control, +2 to Lord recruitment rank faction-wide, and plus 5% from all income from all buildings faction-wide. Now, that may already be in the game. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head, but there is something special to note about it. Welcome back, and now we are in Grand Cathay with the Dark Elves, because the Dark Elves have actually acquired a new unique building, being that of the Wreck of the Talon of Agony, which you can start building it at level 4. It's quite expensive, and when you initially build it, it is awful. It only takes a single turn to build, but while it's active, it costs you 500 gold per turn and also 100 slaves per turn. However, you can upgrade it for a 15-turn build time, though you can obviously speed that up with slaves, and for only 500 gold. And once you have successfully raised it up all the way, you get, with a sacrifice that will echo down the ages, the Druki proclaim their mastery over the sea itself and reclaim what their ancestors had lost to its cruel embrace. So you raise the Talon of Agony from the depths of the ocean. It gives you plus 15% income to all raiding faction-wide, a bonus 100 slaves per turn, and you also get +1 uses for all of your Black Arc bombardment abilities for the rest of the campaign for all armies, which is very, very nice. Oh, I didn't read the thing for this. With sufficient supplication, Mathlen could be coaxed into surrendering his victim, and one of the lost Black Arcs would return to us. So, very, very cool. Love this building. Nice theming, really solid for Dark Elves. You know, I'm never going to say no to more raiding income, and also additional use of Black Arc abilities. I use those feverishly when playing Dark Elves. So, that is it for the Druki. Let's carry on. Next, we'll be taking a look at the Wood Elves, which actually have a very interesting new building that is not unique to... Well, it is unique to them in a sense, which I'll explain in a moment. But if we go over to the city of Mordheim, or the ruins, I should say, there's a new building here called the Purified Oak, which says, Be'lakor corrupted the oak to hold the gate of the city centuries ago. While it has lain dormant since, with the right approach, it could still be a valuable ally. This gives you plus 15 growth to all provinces, minus 10% upkeep for all Dryad units faction-wide, plus 10% casualty replenishment rate locally, minus 2 corruption in all adjacent provinces, and has a very powerful garrison of 3 Dryads, 1 Treekin, and 1 Treeman for a Wood Elf settlement anyway. This building is also available to Drycha, but Drycha's version is slightly unique in that the garrison has malevolent Dryads, malevolent Treekin, and malevolent Treemen in defending it instead of regular ones. However, there is another version of the city we do need to take a look at. Speaking of corrupting things with the ruinous powers, there's also a new building for Slaanesh in Nakari's starting province, which is the altar to the ecstatic hunt. This says, Kurnos preaches moderation in hunting and respect for the quarry. This shrine's new worshippers take an altogether different view. This gives 200 income per turn, plus 25 growth in that province, plus 4 Slaanesh corruption in that province, and then plus 2 recruit rank for all chariot units faction-wide for Nakari and other Slaanesh factions, of which he's the only one currently. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Turning over to my sweet baby lizard boys of Lustria, the lizardmen now have a new reward for wiping out the vampire coast when they get around to it, and that is, in the Awakening, you can now construct Quaddle, or should I say, reconstruct Quaddle the Reawakened. In a sight not seen since the disappearance of the old ones, new pyramids are raised as this fallen temple city is rebuilt. This gives you plus 5 growth to all provinces, plus 5% success chance with all heroic actions faction-wide, plus 5% additional income faction-wide, and plus 30 diplomacy with all other lizardman factions. A solid, solid building, and much more appropriate than these foul pirates. If you are a fan of the Undead, though, you will find a new prize awaiting for you in the ancient city of Lamia, which is the Hall of Rebirth, that states, before Nagash cursed the land, this was a beautiful palace garden. Now its undead masters use it to conduct rituals, promising a different kind of rebirth altogether. This gives 10% research rate, plus 5% additional tradable resources produced, and double experience when fighting against the Tomb Kings faction-wide. And you'll note that I am playing as the Tomb King, so that's nice. This building is available to both the Vampire Counts and the Tomb Kings, at least at this time. Hopefully it'll be opened up for the Vampire Coast as well, but currently it is for the land-bound undead only. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, something that makes Kostaltin suck slightly less is a new building to be found in Castle Alexandrinov, which is Nevesk's citadel. Buffeted by freezing winds and enveloped in ice magic, the citadel stands tall, a beacon of strength to the elite guardsmen who defend it. This gives plus 3 recruit rank for Griffin Legion and Zarguard units recruited in this province, but it also grants you a garrison of 2 Zarguard and a Griffin Legion, and it allows you to immediately recruit all Zarguard and Griffin Legion units despite being a tier 3 structure, which is quite nice. I should also note, before I wander off, that this is available to all the Kislevite factions, not just Kostaltin. Speaking of chaos, though, you'll find a new prize for Norscan players up in Norsca, which is that the monolith of Bjorkil the Bloody-Handed is now an actual landmark instead of simply being the name of a settlement. So the monolith of the Bloody Hand states, monoliths celebrating the deeds of great chieftains dot the landscape of Norsca. The richest have great pillars of metal shipped from Tsar Nagrund. This gives 200 income per turn, plus 2 control faction-wide, and the Guardian passive for all Marauder champion units faction-wide. So a must-have for any enterprising chieftain or warlord. This is available to both Wulfric and Throg, so it's not exclusive to Wulfric, which is quite nice. So, as you may have guessed, based on the description of the settlement, or the description of the landmark, I should say, there is another version, which is the Rampaging Oak. If you manage to acquire the Rampaging Oak, this means that you are playing one of the Warriors of Chaos factions. This is actually one of the relatively few landmarks that the Warriors of Chaos are able to build. If you are playing as Warriors, then this building gives you plus 5 control, plus 2 Chaos Undivided Corruption in all adjacent provinces, and it also grants your entire faction the Fear attribute whenever you are fighting against the Wood Elves. So, nothing crazy to write home about, but it's a nice little flavor thing. I do hope we see more unique landmark buildings added to Mordheim in the future, but currently the only ones that are able to benefit from this are the Wood Elves and the Warriors of Chaos. Now, turning our attention to the Servants of the Great Deceiver, Tzeentch actually is making out with a couple of new buildings, all of which you will find in the deep south of the world. So first, at Fate Weaver's Crevasse, you can now build the Glacial Caves. This landmark says, an ever-shifting lattice of cracks and alcoves brought about by the unstoppable march of the ice is surely the best place to honor the Lord of Change. This gives you 100 income per turn, plus 10% to your research rate, and plus 2 recruit ranks to your heroes faction-wide. Pretty nice. But then, a little further away, over in the Slaanesh side of things, you can visit the Castle of Splendor, which, unique to Tzeentch, also gives you Agrimon's Menagerie. The Menagerie's former master was felled by Archaon. Now, the beasts within can be used for a far more important conflict. This gives you 100 income per turn, plus 30 diplomacy with all Slaanesh factions, plus 4 Tzeentch corruption in this area, and then plus 20% barrier hit points for Chaos Furies, Screamers of Tzeentch, Spawn of Tzeentch, and Flamers of Tzeentch. It also provides 2 Spawn of Tzeentch to your garrison. Very, very strong building because of that barrier upgrade. That is incredible. And yes, that is completely unique to Tzeentch. So you can acquire that with either the Changeling or with Kairos Fate Weaver. Those are your options. All right, that does it for the Bird Bros. So let's carry on. And the interesting thing I want to show you is there's now a destroyed version, which is the Occupied Celestial Palace, which is if you are playing as a non-Cathayan faction and you manage to take Wei Zhen and level up to level 5. This says, for the first time in history, the flag of an invading power flies over the residence of the Dragon Emperor. Cathay will not forget this insult anytime soon. It gives you minus 30, I should start with, diplomatic relations with all Cathayan factions, plus 2 to Lord recruitment ranks faction-wide, plus 5% income from all buildings faction-wide, and plus 5% weapon strength against all Cathayan factions faction-wide. Very cool. And last but certainly not least, for Big Daddy Croesus himself, he has another sexy new landmark building right next to him. So the Great Maw finally has a landmark building, which I'm very happy about. So, the Bells of the Lazarks, which are a particular ogre tribe. The toll of these bells haunts every ogre who passes through here on their pilgrimage to the Great Maw. This gives you an additional 150 income per turn, plus 25 diplomatic relations with all Ogre Kingdom factions, minus 1 recruitment duration on all units faction-wide, and plus 1 global recruitment capacity for all armies faction-wide. Pretty decent. Nothing crazy, but pretty good, and honestly, the more diplomacy, the better. It makes taking over the Mountains of Morn a lot faster. It basically just helps boost up Croesus. He has so many... He's got his Great Hall, and then he's got the Firemouth right next to him, and now he's got the Maw Gate right next to him. Like, good grief, he's got all sorts of nice goodies just... And he's got Karak Azorn right up here as well, I forgot. Oh, my goodness. Croesus, Croesus, Croesus. We love to see it. But that is going to actually be the end of this video. That is all of the new landmark buildings, bar the exception of 2, I believe, which I cannot show you until a little later. So do be patient for that video. But I hope you all enjoy this. I will have lots more content coming out about all the goodies coming alongside Shadows of Change, including lots of free LC stuff. And I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.